Welcome to the 30th Stanford Open. We are here. This is Kinsley Beal here with Tanner Dowell. I am a men's gymnastics judge, and I am here to help guide you through the competition today. Tanner, can you tell us a little bit more about yourself?
Sure. I'm a Cal alumni. I competed for them from 2012 to 2016. I was a coach in Northern California for several years. A couple of my athletes are competing, or a couple of the athletes I worked with Ron Howard with are competing with Stanford and UC Berkeley. I was also a judge in college. I've done a couple of these competitions and been out on the floor. And recently I'm in Phoenix. I'm a third-year medical student, and I'm helping out at North Valley Gymnastics with Travis Rayner.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. So this is the first home meet for Stanford of the season. It is actually the second time that Cal and Stanford have met up this year, and it's sure to be a good meet. Stanford are the three-time reigning national champions. They're expected to take the win here, but it might be a little bit closer than some might expect. Tanner, can you explain why that is tonight?
Yeah, Stanford just put up a big score last weekend, but this weekend they are separating their team out. So their guys that are on the senior national team are competing in a different rotation, and their scores will not be counting for Stanford tonight. So with them out of the lineup, it's giving some other gymnasts from Stanford an opportunity to compete. But it is their top guys that score the highest that are no longer going to be counting for them. So it should be interesting to see how Cal stacks up against them. It's going to be a really fun meet, but it will also be able to see the great gymnastics in a different rotation from Stanford.
Absolutely. And the win is not the only thing on the line for tonight. So this meet is part of the Grand Prix system, so there is money up for grabs, and it is also the final chance for gymnasts to qualify to Winter Cup. So one gymnast that we're going to keep our eye on is Stanford's Ian Gunther. He has previously been on the national team and will be looking for the opportunity to make national team again. So the top three in the all-around will be sent to Louisville, Kentucky for Winter Cup. Is there anyone that we can look for from Cal?
Yeah, Cal will have Noah Newfield competing in the all-around tonight. He competed last year and made it to Winter Cup. He is their top all-arounder this year, and he's looked great. So I'm excited to hopefully see him make it as well.
Absolutely. And then there are some people that we may not see competing today that are big names in the gymnastics community, and that's reigning world champion Brody Malone and world team member Colt Walker. They've had very busy seasons, and they may not be featured in the lineup tonight as they rest their bodies for the coming elite season as well. I know for Stanford, there's some other guys that I want to point out to watch for. Of course, freshman Asher Hong, who just debuted the first in the world, Rise Guang, at an NCAA meet. He performed unreal. It was a beautifully performed vault, but actually he was outdone by his teammate, Zach Martin, who I believe you have previously coached.
Yeah, Zach was with us at Elevate in Northern California. He's a senior, and vault is his event. And I actually saw him warm up a Lopez tonight for the first time. He's never competed it. It's a triple twist on vault. And so he may be upgrading.
Excellent. He may not be the only one upgrading on vault. Stanford's Riley Luce has several different vaults in his repertoire, and last week he warmed up the Randy vault, but he ended up only competing the Rudy, which is 1.5 twists. So tonight we'll look and see if he's going to go for full difficulty.
Yeah, it should be a great vault rotation for Stanford for sure.
Absolutely. You know, I heard someone say their parallel bar lineup is terrifying, but their vault lineup is even more terrifying. They really can challenge the best in the world.
Absolutely.
Looks like the 2-minute standard warm-up is coming to a close, and we're about to get started here.
All right. Is that the first vault already, or where are we at here?
Looks like we have our first guys going up on rings and pommel horse. So we're getting ready to start with Brandon Nguyen. Looked like he had the first vault.
Brandon was another athlete that I worked with from Elevate Gymnastics. He's a junior with them, and he tore his ACL last year in the middle of season. it is really cool to see him back in vaulting already.
Looks like Evan Hymanson is on floor right now. He's another one of those who can qualify to Winter Cup. Just a little short on that pass, had to put his hands down, so that'll be a point of deduction. Nice side double. Finishing on floor with a nice triple twist and a step back.
Ethan Gunther for Stanford on vaults.
Okay, we've got
Ian with the cause full on vault. Little bit of leg separation on the top. But he'll be looking to take one of those all-around spots.
right. That's going to be his thing tonight. Is just being steady on everything, not counting any falls, and he should be in a good position to make it into the top 3.
Big Coleman that we just, or Kovacs that we just saw on high bar, caught it a little bit late under the bar. You want to catch with your arms stretched out so you can swing easily out of it. Nice full in tuck dismount with a small hop. That's only about 1/10 of a point deduction.
Yeah, I think he's one of the junior athletes that had qualified in as well. From Scats Gymnastics. I think that was Wade.
Next up on the vault for Stanford, Coy Young.
We've got Coy Young coming up next on vault, and he's one of these gymnasts that can do several different vaults, a handspring style vault, a Yurchenko half on. So let's see what he is going to perform today. Oh, we got the half on with full twist or double off.
Double twist.
Yeah.
That was huge.
You had to be nitpicky. Is there anything he could have done better?
Honestly, I don't think so. I think the landing was good enough, and he's got to watch the twist coming onto the table, making sure he gets square. But I think he did a really good vault there, and he added an extra half twist. Last weekend at the Rocky Mountain Open, he only did a 1.5 twist off the table.
We had 11.5 on floor from Evan Hymanson with the Stanford Boys Club.
Next up on the vault for Stanford, Brendan Briones.
It'll be Briones, who's also coming off of a leg injury.
Yeah, and an arm injury. He had to take the whole season off last year. Also a pretty simple vault for him, but performing it very well. He was one of the Olympic alternates for the 2020/2021 Olympic Games.
Yeah, which was huge. I mean, he's been a big up and comer in the men's program for years, and he's just unfortunately had a few injuries. So it's great seeing him healthy again and back out competing for Stanford.
Absolutely. Like Vahe Petrosian got a 12.85 on still rings. He's another one of these up-and-comers who's been on the junior national team and is going to try and qualify to the senior team this year. He's been petitioned to Winter Cup.
Yes. So this will be a big routine.
So on still rings here, what their judges are looking for is to keep those rings perfectly still during the strength elements. You can see just a slight little bobble. And then on these strength holds, they need to hold them for a minimum of 2 seconds each. Just a little arch on the handstand there. It'll be about a 10th deduction. Nice stock forward dismount. Looks like Zach did just do the cause double on vault. So that's an upgrade from last week at Rocky Mountain Open where he stuck his cause 1.5. Absolutely cold.
Unreal. Yeah, it was beautiful. He's actually done that at the last 2 NCAA championships. And he's been a great vaulter for us, or for Stanford.
.6 is the score coming in for Zach Martin.
And that's a big score for that vault.
It is. It's a little bit behind what he scored last week. He got a 15.1 last week, but it just shows the importance of execution of the vault and not that the difficulty is the only thing that matters.
Exactly.
So if you are tuning in now and you're new to men's gymnastics, they got rid of the perfect 10 many years ago, and so the way that you get a score is you have a difficulty score added with an execution score. The execution score is still out of 10, and then the difficulty score varies and you add the 2 scores together. One thing that's
Correct.
a little bit different about NCAA is the stick bonus. And Tanner, do you want to tell everyone what the stick bonus is?
So they have a 1/10 bonus that can be added back to these guys' score if they can stick the landing and not move. But it has to be a C or D value skill. So we will go through some of these landings today, and we'll point out the ones that will get the bonus and ones that might be a little too easy. Because the goal was to reward a good landing, but not create an atmosphere where athletes just did a really basic dismount.
Huge double
from
dismount
Toma
on
on rings over there. And so that high bar dismount was a stick, and he will get a 1/10 bonus for that.
You saw the judge raise the green flag, indicating that the gymnast did in fact receive credit for the stick. Looks like all-arounder Noah Neufeld Cal started off on pommel horse with a 12.55. It's a really difficult piece of equipment to build difficulty and get a good score on.
It is. It's definitely one of those events that you add a little bit of difficulty, and you can't come off or you make large errors. Otherwise, it's better to just keep it clean. And I saw Cal definitely up their start values on pommel horse this year, and so they are trying to compete with Stanford. But some of these scores we're seeing are a little on the lower end.
Next gymnast up on high bar, starting in mixed grip, endo up. Maybe a little late on that pirouette.
Yeah, they need to finish within Is it 30 degrees or 15 degrees of handstand now?
15.
15. So they have such a small window on these skills. But those Takachas are huge. Into a Gintinger. He will get a 1/10 bonus for connecting those release skills, but he was a little bit close. And then that was the Zoluman.
Actually, I'm corrected. It is within 30 degrees now.
30 degrees now. And that was a triple back to finish that high bar routine. That was huge.
So you see over on still rings, they were holding an L sit and their leg was dropping just a little bit from horizontal, so that will be a 10th deduction. If it goes to that 30 degrees mark. Nice stuck dismount though.
Stuck dismount. Yes, and not as a C value, so he will get the 1/10.
And it's important when you land that you have to click your heels together. They want to see control, that the feet are hip width apart so that you can get full credit for the stick.
Is that it for the first rotation, or do we have any more? We have another high bar gymnast, it looks like.
Okay, nice jump to the high bar. Gymnasts can either jump themselves or be lifted up by their coach.
It's a big Takacha, very clean, straight arms on the catch and then the giant out. He can do it again, pike. That's a new rule, this quad.
On parallel bars for Team USA, Riley
In bar
Lewis.
Stalder. And he just barely missed on the jam. He's supposed to finish in a handstand on all of these skills. That one was that was better.
Little bit piked on the dismount, but just a small hop on the landing. So what the judges are looking for on that skill, that full in dismount, is they want to see hips open, pointed toes, and of course a stick on the landing.
Yes.
Like Riley Lewis is getting ready to go on parallel bars.
Okay, yes, I guess, okay. Riley's another one of those athletes that is really increased his P-bar difficulty in the last few years and made this an event that's quite a bit stronger for him.
Nice Healy there. Looks like Stanford finished their rotation with a huge 71.2. Gymnasts and teams are typically looking to get over the 70 mark or as close to the 70 mark as possible on each event. And vault is typically the easiest to reach that number at.
It is. You will see a lot of teams go to vault and their overall score will go up. But then you'll see pommel horse, which Cal started on, and you can see they only have a 62 there, which is definitely less than what they're capable of, but it is also just a harder event.
It's a hard event to start on. The good part about starting on pommel horse is it's over, and every other team has to go to pommel horse.
So true.
Their team score will only continue to build from here.
Yeah. Watch them come up the rankings after that. And as an athlete, it always was the worst event to start on. You have no rhythm to the meet yet, and you have to start on an event that's so easy to come off.
Do you prefer to start in Olympic order, or was there a different event that you preferred to start on?
For me, I definitely like starting on floor, the Olympic order. Vault was another good event. It was anything that I always felt like the events that you could just use adrenaline and go aggressive were the fun ones to start with. You could kind of get the nerves out. But pommel horse is definitely not an event you can just use adrenaline and go hard on, because you will come off.
I think the disadvantage to starting on vault is you have to end on rings.
Yeah, it's so hard to be strong at the end of a meet. And the judges they'll look for those 2-second holds. And if you're even 1.75 seconds, you're getting a medium 3/10 deduction.
For those just tuning in, we are just about done with the first rotation here at the 30th Stanford Open. We're looking at some of the scores. Stanford with a massive 71.2 on vault, Cal with a 62.3 on pommel horse. In men's gymnastics, there are 6 events, and typically the home team will rotate in Olympic order by starting on floor, then going to pommel horse, still rings, vault, parallel bars, and high bar. This week, it looks like the home team started on vault. They were able to have a couple of upgrades there, including Zach Martin adding an extra half twist, making his vault a cause double.
Which is incredible. I've watched him train that vault for maybe 4 or 5 years now, where it's always been close, and it's that much harder to add that extra half twist.
Absolutely. So maybe we can get a look at the leaderboard now for all around.
Okay. Does not look like it's in order, to be honest.
Doesn't look like it's quite on order, but the highest score it looks like right now is Koi Young on vault with a huge 14.95.
Yeah, that half on double full is incredibly well done. The landing was great, and it was a deserved score.
A couple other guys tying in. So Zach Martin on vault with a 14.6, and then Asher Hong, who is a Stanford gymnast but taking part in Team USA for this meet, with a 14.6 on parallel bars as well.
Yeah, so that was so you'll see the Team USA guys, they were on P bars, and the scores on parallel bars tend to be a little lower, but I've also seen those guys from Stanford put up some massive scores, like Asher did with that 14.6.
Yeah, let's take a look. Oh. Let's take a look at some of the parallel bar scores from the Team USA guys. Asher definitely took the top score with a 14.6. Blake Soon is one of the best parallel bar workers in the world. His score today doesn't reflect that, but he is absolutely someone who can win a gold medal at a World Cup event for Team USA. Absolutely, and he, I believe, set the NCAA record at one point on P-bars with a high 15. It's interesting talking about NCAA records with men's gymnastics because the code of point changes every... It really is. It's kind of unfair. They a few years ago, it was one score. It was people used to get 16s a little bit easier, and then they took out a category, and the judging got a little bit tighter. So it's always with the current, whatever the current rules are, I guess, is where we start the new records. But absolutely, I remember Sam McCulloch was holding the record, I think, on parallel bars with a 16 for a while.
Yes.
But
yes, he was. Him and I think Akash had it at one point from Stanford. Sean Melton used to compete for it. But let's look at the pommel guys for Cal here. Will Levonical is a gymnast from West Coast Gymnastics. It's gone on. West Coast is up in Northern California. And he has always been incredible on pommel horse. So it's not surprising to see him anchor that lineup with a 13.65. The rest of the scores, the two ones at the bottom, the 11.75 and the 11.5, are definitely not the best routines that those athletes can put up, but those aren't scores that are in the 10s or the 9s. And so hopefully that can keep Cal afloat.
Yeah, Will is the only guy one of two guys from Stanford that can hit a 6.0 difficulty start value on pommel horse, and his routine has a Wu and a Magyar and a Savado and a Tong Fei, and it's a really beautifully constructed routine as well.
Yes. And right now we are just in the intermission break while the athletes are transitioning events. They're doing a 2-minute touch, and then we'll be back to watching the second event of this competition.
So each team gets a 2-minute warm-up for each event as required by the NCAA rules, and that's what we're looking at right now. So the Team USA guys are going to be headed to high bar, Stanford is headed to parallel bars, Cal is headed to still rings, and the Stanford Boys Club is headed to pommel horse.
Yeah, and you'll see Cal start building up on that all-around score as a team as they hit rings. Stanford, though, will also, they're incredible on P-bars, so expect to still see them stay up there. And the Team USA guys, yeah, like you said, high bar is one of the most exciting events to watch. And we'll be calling out those routines as well.
It's like we're just now getting started here with the second rotation. It's like Taylor Burkhart.
Oh, and he's got an incredible routine here on high bar.
Wow, a Lucan caught with one hand. Oh, no.
Unreal. And so he, I believe, is going to try. Oh, he was going to try to connect that to Tkachev on high bar, but he caught it a little bit close. That one was a bit better.
Connect these two. There we go.
Yes, yes.
And high bar is one of only two men's events where you can get connection there. So you can get connection.
Oh.
Just missed his hands.
Yeah. That's his high bar routine has so many unique release moves, and it is so difficult. That skill, he has been so solid on it, but it is an F value skill.
Have about 30 seconds.
Yeah, 30 seconds. Once they get off the ground and they clear, they don't look like they're injured. Another close catch, but he's working with it really well. That's a quast. Just missed handstand, and that's going to probably be up to a 3/10 deduction.
It's a little close on that release.
Oh my gosh. But he got the stick. Did he get the stick, or did they not raise the flag?
You know, I thought they raised the flag, but...
Okay, they did. Okay.
Looks like Asher might be next to go. This is not one of Asher's best events yet. It's something that he is certainly still working on, but I believe competing in the NCAA will help give him a little bit more confidence with his routine.
Absolutely. If you watch the World Championships, he hilariously caught one of his Kovac skills on his grips, like at the band of the grip rather than the actual his hands, and he went around far. He was called out by a teammate because he's done that before in practice, but unbelievable.
So if we look over at still rings, you want to see a flat body position on that Maltese, so it's just a little bit out of alignment. Rings are swinging up through handstand. Nice. Giannis into Yamawaki swing series. Holding the handstand well.
Yep. And just a small step on that landing.
Over to high bar, a big Coleman for the freshman.
Very clean. Oh, okay. So that one was supposed to go to a handstand, and he came up short, and he tried to drop his shoulders over the bar to flange it, and he just barely missed his timing there. So that's unfortunately going to be a full point deduction for Asher.
So that German giant doesn't actually have to go to handstand. They changed the rules a couple of years ago, so he is fine not hitting handstand there. Small little hop on the dismount.
And that has become a much more popular skill over the last few years because of that rule that they don't hit you on the angle of coming out of those German giants, so that you can get a C and a D with almost very little deduction if you can stay on.
Earlier, Taylor was the first to go on high bar. He got an 11.85. Stanford gymnast J.R. Chow just got a 13.2 on parallel bars.
And I think back here we have Brandon Wynn on P-bars with a very nice whip it swing handstand to start.
Peach half. Peach half.
Giant peach.
Wow, big height on that front toss.
Yeah, and he was, like we were saying on vault, he came back from an ACL tear about 9-10 months ago in the middle of last season. And he was a gymnast that I had worked with in Sacramento, California, before he went off to Stanford.
Beautiful handstand there on the Stutz.
Just stay on the feet on the dismount on a nice double front.
Nice job. Like
now we've got Rings again here, another Cal gymnast. I believe it's Yu Chen.
You can see the feet a little bit low.
Yeah, like you were saying earlier, that needs to be completely flat. And you see the shoulders, they need to be completely level with the arms and the rings. Those Yamawakis, the tuck one was really smooth, and you see how there's no hesitation. And that's something the judges are looking for on those Yamawakis. Better front giant. Oh, that's a frustrating end to that routine that he had fought so hard through.
And he really did fight for every bit on that routine.
Yeah, going back to high bar with the Team USA guys.
Nice talking about full.
That one was closer to handstand, where the first one was the one that Asher had struggled with, but that quas towards the end, just a little late past the handstand. But a big double-double. These routines are so difficult.
You know, I've been watching videos that these gymnasts have been putting out about their mindset when they're going through the routine, and they talk themselves through every moment. Specifically, yes. I was talking to Riley Luce, and he said, I just think, okay, hit handstand on this one, rhythm for the next two, and have a good tap.
You end up giving yourself these little cues because some of these skills are just so technical that you just have to focus on that one, like you're saying, like what Riley was saying. You just have to focus on that little like tight here, aggressive here, and that becomes your routine, your mental routine as you go through these events.
Parallel bars for Stanford. This is Coy Young.
Speaking
Coy
of Riley,
finished-
he's coming up on high bar here too.
Big Bhavsar from Koy Young in the background, named after Raj Bhavsar, 2008 Olympic medalist.
Yeah, it's incredible how some athletes come up with a skill and it's not used, but that is a skill that has become so popular all over the world.
On rings for Cal, Noah Neufeld.
It is definitely one of those skills you'll see in the World Championships and Olympic finals. The top guys are all using it.
Riley Luce, one of these other Team USA guys, up on high bar.
Yeah, and he's also increased his difficulty. We'll see. That's the Zoliman. I don't see a mat. I've seen him do a Lucan recently. Oh, beautiful full twisting Takamoto.
Wow, finishing really close to handstand there. Beautiful.
Oh, he does
There's
do the
Lucan.
Lucan. That is an F value, which is 6/10 of value to his routine. This is one of the best high bar routines I've ever seen. And watch this.
Oh, huge triple back.
Riley is crazy. Such a good guy, but that was a big routine. I expect that to score really high.
Ian from Stanford on parallel bars. Ian is not only a fantastic gymnast, but also has become quite the social media guru. He's included many of the Team USA guys and Stanford guys in his videos, doing challenges with girlfriends, and built quite a following.
Yeah, you've seen that. I've gotten messages, it's funny, from my sister who's out on the East Coast and not related to gymnastics at all. She wasn't a gymnast, and she's like, check out this Instagram video I see of Ian Gunther. And it's like, no way. It's definitely cool to see these athletes try to branch out into social media. And Ian's doing a really good job. He's also really good at P-bars, so...
Wow, look at this ring routine right now. Beautiful Maltese up to planche.
Good swings there to handstand. You want to see the arms straight on the way up. That's a Maltese, and that late in the routine, that is so difficult.
Holds the L sit well.
Oh no.
Not quite enough height on the dismount and not rotating quickly enough. Means he wasn't able to get his feet under him for the dismount. And that will be a full point for a deduction. But
Yeah,
before the dismount, that routine was really beautifully well done.
It was. The difficulty was there. He's got everything he needs in that routine. And hopefully by the end of season, towards the postseason, that'll be a big number. He can stay on his feet.
Just saw that stick flag be raised for Jeremy Bischoff on high bar. Well done to him.
And Jeremy's one of those athletes that's on the senior development team with USA, and that's why he's competing over there. We're just short on the Makutes on P-bars back there. And so when he has to take that extra swing, he'll get a whole 5/10 deduction. Nice studs.
Double pike looked super easy for him.
It really did. And that dismount, you can see some guys and they're not high. When they don't get enough height, they land with their they'll still be in that pike position, but he had enough time to come out and open up and prepare for that landing.
Okay, looks like we are rotating to the third rotation.
Yeah, did we ever see Luke on high bar?
I don't believe so. So Stanford still in the lead right now.
Yes.
Don't think all those scores have come in quite yet. 55 would be a bit low.
Yeah, that's missing one score. And Cal as well at a 51.4. So both of those are waiting for the last routine to come in.
Just a reminder for those of you joining us that this is the 30th Stanford Open, and there are several things on the line here. One, of course, is the team title. There is also money on the line, as the Stanford Open is part of the new Grand Prix system. And then it is also the final chance for gymnasts to qualify to Winter Cup, which is where gymnasts have the opportunity to make the U.S. national team. Tanner, can you remind us who we are expecting to be in contention to qualify to Winter Cup?
Yeah. So from Cal, we're looking for Noah Newfield to contend, and they have to be in the top 3 all-around spots to qualify, and he is absolutely in the running. And from Stanford, I believe Ian Gunther is doing the all-around. And he might not already be qualified.
He is not already pre-qualified,
Okay.
so he is someone that we are definitely looking for to make that spot.
And then we've got some of the elites over competing for a spot as well. And so there's some juniors that have qualified, and that's some of the other athletes we've seen out there. And if they are 18 years old, they are eligible for a top 3 position if they can get in there with the Stanford and Cal guys.
As we wait for these last scores to roll in, at the top of the program, we had talked about that we expect this meet to be a little bit closer between Stanford and Cal. This is the second time that they are matched up this season. They will actually have 5 times total that they will be competing against each other this season. But some of the guys from the Stanford University team are competing under the Team USA banner. And so we expect it to be much closer between Stanford and Cal for the win.
I agree. Absolutely. Cal just started on a couple events that are a little bit lower scoring for them, so expect them to continue to build up, while Stanford started on probably 2 of their higher scoring events. So we see a little bit of a difference right now in the scores, but those could tighten up as we go through this.
Let's take a look here at the all-around totals. Riley Luce looks like he is in the lead. Oh, he was just outdone by Koi Young, who has been to vault and parallel bars with a 29.4. That's a big score for 2 events.
Yes, he is averaging just about a 14.7 with those 2 events, with vault and P bars. And to put that in perspective, the top all-around scores, people have been averaging about a 14 across the 6 events. So if he goes on this pace, he could very well put one of the top NCAA all-around scores in the nation.
As we go over to floor, looks like our top score there right now is a 13.35.
Yeah, so these are some of the junior athletes, and we've got Evan Hymanson at the bottom there, who's a former college athlete that's continuing to train up in Stanford. And we watched him just come short on a few passes that dropped his score, but he was doing some big tumbling as well. And then Pommel Horse. Yeah.
Will is continuing to hold that lead. He has a 6.1 D score, and with some very, very difficult moves like a Wu and a Tong Fei. And he's holding that strong, and I expect that score to hold at least until Stanford gets there in the next few rotations.
Agreed. The Team USA guys will be the first ones from Stanford, right?
They will. So the Team USA guys just finished up on high bar, and they are headed over to the floor exercise.
And now, I was going to say, Pommel Horse has Coy Young as it's actually one of his best events, the one that's currently leading the all-around. And he can put up a routine that starts at a 16.8. And he may beat everyone in this meet on that event.
Coy is one of these gymnasts who really can sort of adjust his routine on the fly. He has multiple different vaults, multiple different versions of other events. So it's always interesting and a treat to see which routine he's going to come up with.
Agreed. He is such a quick twitch athlete that he is able to make those adjustments. And watching him come through the junior program as well, you could tell that he had an incredible upside in talent. And we're starting to see that as he's only a sophomore.
Looks like Asher Hong might be our first gymnast up on floor. One of the things that we look for on floor exercise is, are they going to compete a double salto? It's a rule that was created off of one of the great twisting gymnasts, Kenzo Shirai. He would do routines with only twisting elements. And the FIG, which is the International Federation of Gymnastics, said, no, you have to have double saltos in your routine as well.
Yeah. I've never seen an athlete dominate an event like that to the point where they created a new rule out of it. Or like it happens, but it was pretty unique to see that. And Asher, we just saw finish with the triple twist there. A big routine.
On floor, they've also changed how you can get connection bonus. There's only a couple ways now you can get connection. So it needs to be a twisting to a flipping salto or a double flipping to a double flipping salto. You used to be able to get lots of bonus from twisting to twisting elements, but that's no longer the case.
Correct. Another one of those like Kenzo potential rule changes that they wanted to start seeing some more variety in those connections.
Although I'm not sure it's quite accomplished that. I think we're seeing a lot more back 2.5s to front layout than we have ever seen before.
To me, it's so funny. When that rule came out, we almost thought that was a loophole. Like they intended it to be a double flipping skill, and people just realized you could do a front layout to get the connection.
I do think it is a loophole. I think that we will see that rule disappear in the next iteration.
Yeah, so we had Kalen Curry go up on Kalen Curry, and he did a beautiful cause full. And now we have Brandon Wynn on high bar.
There's a couple types of different one-arm skills. You can do the one-arm giant where your body is facing forward and you go the same direction, or there's one called a Zoliman, which he just did, in which you turn your body.
Yes, and if you watch those two releases, he did a layout with a full twist or double over the bar and tuck position. That is the first time he has ever competed that skill in the laid out position.
He went the wrong way on that Takamoto full.
It's tough. You go for the handstand because you don't want the deduction, but if you come up short like that, it can kill you.
These in-bar skills that we're seeing here, one of the things that judges are looking for are for the knees to be straight. And you saw in his routine they were a little bit bent, and the judges can take that deduction.
And the way they're judging, they absolutely will. If you look at the execution scores, these guys aren't getting 9.8s, 9.9s as often. A good routine will score in the high 8s even.
Absolutely. Last week at the Rocky Mountain Open for Zach Martin's vault, we saw a 9.8 E score, and it almost felt unbelievable that the judges would go that high.
Yeah, it's almost like an unspoken rule. You can't do that. Another clean cause full on vault there from Cal. So you will definitely see their team score come up. That was Jelani Sweet.
So far, they haven't had any score below a 13.7, so scores are much higher here than we saw in pommel horse for Cal.
Yes. And you can see that over on the top right. If you're watching on YouTube or if you're on Verdius, you can see it next to their names.
Laystick Ellis was just a little bit shy on that triple twist dismount. He will probably still get full credit from it for the dismount, but maybe incur some deductions for not making it all the way around.
Yes, and Tom Kutz is one of those judges that I had talked to. He's one of the top judges in the area, and he will watch, and he's telling me he looks at where they start the twist and where they finish the twist. And he's taken 3/10 deductions on both sides, or it's possible to lose 3/10 on both sides of a skill. And that was Jasper on vault. He is one of the new gymnasts that's come to UC Berkeley from, I believe, the UK. And that was a beautiful cause 1.5. He was a big pickup when they got him as a recruit. He had gone to the Junior World Championships and medaled on vault.
Let's jump over to high bar.
This is Brandon Briones. We talked about his injury, and he does the same release that Brandon Wynn did, also in the layout position and in the tuck position. And, just came short.
He'll be building his confidence and his skill back up after taking a year off due to injury. Again, an incredible gymnast, one of the Olympic alternates. Just had a few form issues on each of those releases. There was a huge Casina to open and then ended up falling on the Coleman. And we're looking at a 30-second timer here for him to remount so he doesn't get another deduction.
And if you saw a vault right there, we saw a layout cause that was stuck. It won't be the highest start value, but incredibly well done. And that was by Noah for the all-around to try to make it to Winter Cup. And now we've got Briones back on high bar. And he chooses not to repeat the Coleman, but a really nice Stalder Tkachev. When you fall on a skill, you don't get credit, and your total difficulty score will go down. And since he chose not to redo it, he'll lose a little bit more than the full point. Half talk. His handstands are looking a lot better. And the stick on the dismount will give him the extra 1/10.
You'll see the judges raise the green flag, and that 1/10 bonus will go into the difficulty score, not the execution score.
And I believe Cal is already done on vault, so they are using the area to get ready for their next event. Stanford will be finishing up. And we just saw Riley Luce finish up his floor routine. And like you said, he was talking about the twist. He was just a little short on his dismount as well. Could be just a little bit of fatigue early in the season.
Jeremy Bischoff is coming up next on floor for Team USA. As Tanner mentioned earlier, he is one of the gymnasts on the development portion of the senior national team. And he'll actually get to keep that spot through August, unless he chooses.
I really think that's a good thing the U.S. has done in the last couple years. The jump from the junior national team program to the senior is such a big jump that creating the senior development team is basically you're on that national team, but it's for these 18 to 21 year olds that have that ability to go to Worlds and Olympics.
These Team USA guys on floor, no one has below a 5.9 start value.
Unbelievable.
We'll see Jeremy start off here with a front double.
Comes back with the tuck double-double. Very well done.
It's one of those elements that can get bonus points.
Yes, like you were mentioning earlier, he did have the double flipping skill in there with that connection, so he will get that bonus.
So that forward layout with a full twist is a C to the double salto pike, which is an E, and that gets a 10th bonus. He'll have another opportunity for bonus here after his non-acro element. So each of the floor routines are required to have a non-acro element. He's doing a wide arm press that was really well held there.
And they have to do, like you said, they have to do one of those elements in the routine. And generally, I think it's a little interesting. They cap that element at a D value.
They do, and the gymnast who went just before Jeremy Bischoff, Riley Luce, has submitted a really interesting skill that was provisionally given a B, although I think it's actually much harder than that. It's a back handspring lower to planche that is just incredible. But unfortunately, it hasn't been awarded officially a difficulty in the code of points.
No, and it is so unique, and I think it's cool. I think it's something that we need, and I really hope they do change that value. High bar here, we have J.R. Chow. And doing those German giants, we can see the flexibility. And that's where he has to hit the handstand, and he did a good job.
Lots of difficulty here.
Yeah, the tuck. The Coleman, it was such a unique skill 10 years ago to see those back flipping skills with twists over the bar. And now these
I love
gymnasts,
that back hop.
It's beautiful. It was a great routine.
Yeah, great lines, really flat hips throughout, just really well executed.
Yeah. Another one of those gymnasts that was on the junior national team before coming to Stanford.
Stanford itself boasts of over half of the U.S. national team right now, so they have so many talented gymnasts that they were able to split into two. So if you're just joining us now, there is the Stanford Boys Club. There is Stanford University competing here, Stanford University gymnasts who are also part of Team USA, and then Cal Bears as well.
Yes,
which my
it can look a
co-host
little confusing.
is an alumni of.
Is this Taylor we have on floor back here?
He has the most difficult floor routine of his rotation with up to a 6-4 start value if he adds it all in. He unfortunately won't get credit for that bonus there.
Yes, that is a good point, bringing that up. Wow, that was a double twisting, double layout.
On high bar for Stanford, Ian Gunther.
The difficulty that Taylor has on floor is incredible. But like you said, if you fall on a double flipping connection pass, you actually don't get the bonus.
Here's his non-acro series. He's doing some flares here.
And he looked like he got a little caught up on those flares. If you watched as his legs came in the back, they started brushing up on the floor a little. And he did a great job fighting.
Typically, he does a flare that's a D level, so that's 4/10 of difficulty. They might not give that full difficulty to him.
Yeah, I suspect they might not, but we'll see. He did a great job working through the little bit of challenge he had there.
So we just saw Ian Gunther go on high bar, and Tanner, do you want to explain why Stanford was allowed to have a 6th gymnast go on high bar?
Yes.
When typically it's only 5 allowed.
So typically, yeah, we're looking at every gymnast that you see goes is counting for their team score. So 5 up, 5 count. Doesn't matter if they have a disaster or if whatever happens, you have to count that the team score. Now, with Winter Cup and as this qualifier, as you mentioned earlier, and they are allowing these extra, and they actually allow it on most meets. It's a little discouraged. They don't want to see these 6 gymnasts go up, but they could do it for their own all around as long as they're in 3 other events competing for the team. And that allows them to get rankings in the NCAA for their own personal all-around scores, or like tonight, definitely is being used as a way to qualify into Winter Cup.
Absolutely. And it's a smart system. If you have a guy who's a great all-arounder and just has a little bit of a weakness on one event, you don't want to hinder them from being able to reach their own goals, but you also don't want to hinder the team, especially with this really strict 5 up, 5 count format for the team.
Exactly. And actually, you see Cal just put up a 70.45 on vault there, which is a lot higher, as you can see, than the 62 and 63, and closer to what Stanford was putting up on that event. So you'll see them kind of close the gap a little. And Stanford had a couple falls and mistakes, so they only put up a 65 on high bar. There is still a lot more gymnastics to go. Stanford still has to go to the pommel horse. Cal still has to go through P-bars and high bar. So keep watching these scores.
A few weeks ago, Cal hosted Stanford, and Stanford started on pommel horse, and they really put themselves in a hole. And now the Team USA guys are headed to pommel horse, so we'll have a better idea of how they're stacking up compared to Cal once you get past that equalizer event.
That is a really good way to put that. It is the equalizer. You can look at team scores at these meets, and if they haven't gone to pommel horse yet, you almost have to throw it out a little, or like put a little bit of a not an asterisk necessarily, but there's still it's very much still up in the air depending on how that event goes.
Looks like scores for the all-around are coming in.
Yeah, so we've got Coy leading, I think. Coy or is Riley? Yeah, Coy should be leading the all-around.
Coy is leading with he's been to some of the highest scoring events, though, vault, parallel bars, and high bars, so he's in there with a 43.15, which is a really big score.
It is. And then right under him, you have Ian Gunther, his teammate, in a great position to qualify. You've got Vahe Petrosian, who has already qualified into Winter Cup. Asher, who's already qualified into Winter Cup. Riley, who's already qualified in. And then finally, you get to Jeremy's already qualified, and then Noah Newfield, who still needs to qualify. He's down in the 7th position for Cal.
So on floor, Asher Hong is taking the lead with a 14.3, followed by Ian Lasik Ellis and Jeremy Bischoff. None of the official Stanford team has gone to pommel horse yet, so Will is still holding on to the lead on pommel horse with a 13.65. I would imagine once Coy goes to pommel horse, he'll probably take the lead on that event. What do you think?
I think he absolutely could. He is one of the best pommel workers we have in the entire country, at college or elite. And that is one of his biggest strengths. So I'm really looking forward to that routine in a couple events here. Rings, there's where Noah Newfield is leading from Cal. With a couple juniors and Noah Sano, who's up there too. Noah Sano's brother, Capri, was my roommate in college. So it's kind of cool to see his younger brother out there doing so well.
Looks like Coy has the highest score of the meet so far with a 14.95 on vault.
Yes, and P-bars, we've got Asher and Coy.
We are headed into the fourth rotation now. Team USA is headed to pommel horse. Stanford University is headed to the floor. Al should be headed to parallel bars, and Stanford boys is headed to high bar.
And they should be just finishing up that 2-minute touch.
Tanner, as we head over to pommel horse, this is one of the events that I hear most often is confusing to understand. So what are some things that we can be looking at that the judges will be taking deductions for?
Okay, so pommel horse for sure is look at the position of their body as they're swinging around the horse. They want to be as straight as possible, and the gymnastics, we call it a pike when they bend over a little bit, or they're just a little bit hunched in their hips, I guess is the best way to put it. And so every time you see a skill that they start, or they're getting away from that straight body line, they're getting hit. The other one is when they are traveling back and forth across the pommel horse, the judges are looking for them to be at perfect 90 degrees to the horse, or straight on with the direction that they're traveling. So if you see them, if they are not at these square angles, if they are turned slightly away from the front of the horse or the side of the horse, it's called a skew deduction. And the judges, that I would say that one and the pike are the two that add up the quickest. And then you've got your normal deductions where you see them bend their legs or straddle their legs in the middle of a skill when they're falling or making it, or they might bump into the horse. And those ones are a little bit more of the obvious deductions, but you will see some lower scores on routines that look like they have no obvious deduction because of the skew and the pike hips.
I think one of the things for me that I'm always watching for is on their scissor cuts.
Oh my gosh, yes. Okay, go on, yes.
It's required that it be at shoulder height. So and it's really hard to do. So if the gymnast is below shoulder height, they're going to get a 1/10 of a deduction. And if they're below horizontal, they're going to get a 3/10 deduction for each of those scissor cuts. So those deductions can add up very quickly.
Yeah, it absolutely can. And it is one of those things where a lot of gymnasts don't think about it. The better ones will. You're seeing Riley here. See how he cuts his legs up each time? They have to get above that shoulder line. And that's what we're talking about, where they're getting those deductions.
For those unfamiliar with pommel horse, there are sort of two aspects of the pommel horse. You'll see the loops sticking up. Those are the pommels. And then the actual body, the tan part, is the horse. And they need to touch each element of the horse. They need to touch each section of the horse during their routine to get full credit.
Yes. And you can see sometimes those guys are doing it at the very end of their routine. But when you're looking for the difficulty, I would say watch the times that they go to the one pommel, where one of those handles that we were talking about. And if you start seeing them spend a little more time on that area, you know they're stacking up a little bit more difficulty.
Just saw a handspring vault. I think that was from Evan Hymanson.
Yeah, that looked like a handspring Rudy to me.
He's one of these other gymnasts trying to qualify to Winter Cup through tonight, taking part in the Grand Prix series. Because he's no longer a student in the NCAA, he can take money for competing for gymnastics. Of course, there is NIL now where gymnasts can get money for their name, image, and likeness, but not for doing actual gymnastics. But once you graduate, you can get money for doing gymnastics.
Yes. And so it's really cool to see him continue on and stay in the sport and push forward and have this opportunity.
Nice woo on pommel horse into that triple Russian.
Yes. And so that's another way these gymnasts get a lot of difficulty to their routines.
Might be a rhythm deduction there in that dismount. You want to see a gymnast fly up to the handstand with no pauses at all in their pirouetting as well. And probably just a 10th that was pretty well done.
Yeah. Okay, looking at some of the scores down here, we see a 13.7 from Evan on vault. We see, we're still waiting for that pommel score to come in.
From parallel bars, we've got Yu Chin Lee from Cal. He opens with a L-sit press to handstand.
And he is one of the cleaner gymnasts. And so that was a Muay to support, and he keeps his arms straight. He has to hold that handstand for 2 seconds. And that flip. Oh, what?
If I was being a little bit picky, I would say some of his elements don't have quite the amplitude that the judges would be looking for. They could be a little bit higher.
Yes. So those skills that he was doing, those flipping skills to his upper arms, they actually want to see them finish parallel to the bars themselves. And so, like you said, if you're not getting enough amplitude, you tend to be just a little below the bars when you finish those skills. We have Coy on floor, who's leading the all-around. And on pommel horse in the background, you have Taylor Burkhart with his flares.
In men's gymnastics, you do need to transition well to the corner. It's the bane of many gymnastics experience, but you can't just sort of walk or step into the corner.
Yeah, they don't. Yeah, they want the artistic gymnastics to be there, and it kind of feels like it's somewhere in between where they're doing the bare minimum of anything artistic, but like you said, they're not just turning to the corners.
Nice duck dismount over on rings.
Yeah, so he will get the 1/10 because that is an E value on rings to do that in the tucked position.
To get the stick bonus, it needs to be a C dismount or higher. Which
And
is
just
actually,
to remind,
it's a little bit different than what's required actually at level 10, which is actually a little bit lower than what's being competed tonight. They have to do a D dismount, but here in NCAA, you just have to do a C dismount, which is 3/10 of difficulty.
Yes. Yeah, so the value for those that are listening, they give a letter value, and an A is a 1, a B is a 2, a C is a 3, a D is and so forth. And so you'll see those gymnasts try to go up as high as they can on these difficulty scores. On the background, we've got Asher Hong on pommel. And see the straddling of the legs. This is not a deduction. That is a flare element. And he's doing it really well.
When his body is going in a different direction, like you saw, that's called a spindle.
This routine just has so much difficulty.
As Tanner was talking about earlier, when you travel down the length of the horse, the judges are looking for something called skew. And he just sort of missed his hand there and ended up with a big bend and a hop. That's probably 6/10 of deduction on that dismount, where typically gymnasts don't get deductions like that on pommel horse dismounts. And you could see him sort of laughing to himself about that.
Oh, yeah. It is one of those mistakes that you get a little bit of grief for. You're just coming down from a handstand. It is one of the easiest landings in men's gymnastics to stick. And if you miss a hand or anything comes off and you end up having to take steps on that dismount, you better believe your teammates are giving you a little bit of grief for that. So floor in the background here. We have Ian Gunther getting through his non-tumbling. And Ian is really a great gymnast on the all-around. But if I had to say there's 2 events for him, it would be I was going to say floor, but that was a really good dismount.
It looks like they did give him the stick for that back 2.5. I wasn't quite sure if his foot slid or not. The judges seem to think no.
Yeah, the flag tells us. We've got a little bit of a moment here where we're waiting for the gymnast to get scored and the next athlete to go, but we've got pommel horse starting. That's a blink. You don't see that skill very often. Full spindle. He's got the Magyar where he goes across forward, the Savato where he goes across backwards.
Wow, look at his hip position too.
Oh, and
do you think he'll get credit for that dismount?
yeah, so that was supposed to go up to a handstand, and as straight as it was and going up, and right now he's kind of looking over at the judges. There looks like there's that moment where they're actually trying to figure it out. The coach went over, said something.
Looks like he might redo this dismount here. This is something based on another great Japanese gymnast named Uchimura from the 2012 Olympics. He missed his dismount and it wasn't previously allowed to redo it, but now it is allowed, and you'll see he should get full credit for that D dismount he just did.
Yeah, he will. And unfortunately, it is one of those things where the gymnast has to decide, do I get back up and finish the routine? Because if he doesn't do that, he won't get a fall, but he will be missing an element group and a dismount. So I've heard some conversation where some athletes will wonder if they should get back up and repeat the dismount to take the fall, or they should just take the 5/10 missing category and the 4/10 missing D with the deduction. It's an interesting issue there. But he definitely chose to get back up and finish to increase his start value. And I believe this is Zach on floor finishing up.
Finishing up with the back 2.5, just a small hop on the landing.
These guys have really done that dismount well tonight. That is a hard dismount to land. You're a little bit blind. Can't quite watch the ground all the way to the end, especially when you're tired. And the last 2 gymnasts from Stanford really did it well.
Looks like we're done. We're going to be headed to the 5th rotation.
Yeah, so we are almost, we've got 2 more events left in this competition. We're just waiting on Zach's score to come in. But here's, we've got the leaderboard going again. We're going to take a look at where these athletes are standing.
So Stanford has arguably 2 of the lowest scoring events left, with pommel horse and still rings.
Yeah,
Cal has floor and high bar left, so it'll be interesting to see how they match up.
it really will be. Pommel horse is where Stanford has to go up and not let a disaster happen and stay up there with the ranking. Cal did a great job on parallel bars. As you can see it side by side, they put up a very similar score to Stanford, and now they have the opportunity to go to high bar and see if they can outdo what Stanford put up. And it's possible because of some of the mistakes Stanford had made. So this could be a rotation that changes the team results. We've got the all-around here, and you can see Coy is continuing to stay up there with a 57.5, and keep switching, but we've got Riley Luce with a 54, and we've got Ian Gunther with a 54.65. Noah Newfield's score has come in for P-bars, and he is at a 53.9. So he is doing really well, looking like he's in a good position to qualify for Winter Cup as well.
Let's take a look over at floor exercise. Last we had seen Asher Hong was leading. Looks like Coy just
took
topped
it from him. Coy is having a really good meet tonight. This is pretty cool to see for him. And he gets to go to his strongest event. We were talking about the pommel horse earlier, so watch out for that event.
As Tanner mentioned earlier, he can have up to a 6-8 difficulty score, which is one of the highest in the world.
It really is. It is something it's exciting to watch when you see a guy that's that good at pommel horse. It can bring in a huge score for the team. It really is a fun event. It can be a fun event to watch when Coy does it.
Just for comparison from last year, the most difficult pommel horse routine competed was a 6.7 difficulty score at the Cottbus World Cup. So thank you to Courtyard Tapir for keeping excellent records and helping us out during the stream. But
yeah, that is such a good resource to check in. I loved it. I loved looking up the top start values, top scores, top execution around the world, because it really gives you an idea of how the U.S. athletes are stacking up. P-bars here, we've got Asher leading with a 14.8, but Coy right there with a 14.45. High bar Coy is one of the top scores again. Okay, here we go. We've got the next rotation starting. Looks like they're actually still in the last part of their 2-minute touch.
As Asher goes to still rings, this is one of his absolute best events. He typically scores very well here, has really good positions, so he'll be looking to make an impact here as well.
Yeah, this all-around could get pretty close here with Coy after the next two events. The NCAA portion of Stanford will be starting on pommel horse, and Cal right now is on high bar. Very nice stalder to handstand. A little bit of a hop there to try to get a B value, and a stuck full twisting double layout. He gets the green flag. Just a little bit piked, but that looked like a great routine for them to start off. And that was Colin Cunane.
Next up on pommel horse for Stanford, Luke McFarland.
Luke McFarland here, those scissor cuts that we were talking about. Feet not quite at shoulder height.
No, not quite. And just a little bit of pike in those hips. Those are the Russian value skills, the Magyar. And see how his chest is a little towards us right now? That's where the skew deduction is coming in, and the judges are going to be lowering his execution score.
And all pommel horse dismounts have to go to handstand with the exception of the triple Russian dismount that he just performed. That's the only one, but even still, he has to get his body to parallel height with the pommel horse at least.
Yes, and so you kind of saw that little bit of arch to his lower back to try to get it to show that he got the rise that they want to see. And you'll see the better gymnast able to get that around.
Lots of power on that front double tuck to open.
Yes. Nicely done, double back. And high bar here. We've got Cal. Nice half tuck to handstand. M-bar, piked and straddle stalled are there. He gets a C and a B for those skills. He does it again piked and again straddled, so another C and a B forward. Just adding to his difficulty. He finishes them close to handstand. And just a small step on that full twisting double layout, but a really clean routine.
Like we have Jeremy coming up on still rings here for Stanford, USA.
Yes. And I think in the background on pommel, do we also have Koi starting?
We do. Look at that beautiful iron cross shape.
Yes.
Koi cutting well there.
See the up and down with those flares back there. There's a Busanari. It is one of the hardest skills on pommel at an F value. And you see him staying on the one pommel there and somehow stayed on the pommel. He slowed down quite a bit there. And he's slowing down again. This is not only deductions, but he is getting, it is so easy to wear yourself out on pommel horse.
Each time your leg comes apart, it's just that much more energy to squeeze them back together.
Exactly. He did a great job staying on, and Jeremy finished up his ring routine as you saw there as well. Going back to high bar, we've got Cal again. They've counted two very clean routines. That's a Yamawaki release move.
That is one of my favorite skills.
Great. It is so, it can be done so well when they can show that full straight body. And he did a great job. Just a little late missing the handstand on that half talk. Oh, did you see that?
Yeah.
It looked like he was going to go for a Tkachev, the skill that he just did. But actually didn't go for it. And then repeated it. Some one-arm giants. Those are just B values. They look cool. And a full twisting double layout again with just the hop back. Cal is definitely is putting up some clean routines and avoiding any major mistakes on high bar right now.
Looks like we have Taylor Burkhart in the queue waiting for his turn to go on still rings.
Yeah, so they do try to get the judges to go a little bit quicker, but if you look at the piece of paper for the judges, and I know you know because you're also a nationally rated judge, but the judges are sitting there. It looks like chicken scratch as they kind of roll.
Zarian Iron Cross. Wow.
Yeah, that is such a difficult. And look at his shoulders to the rings. They're really flat. He needs to hold these for 2 seconds, and that's maybe the only thing the judges can find on this, but his positions look incredible.
Good amplitude on the swinging elements.
On high bar for Cal, Noah Newfield.
Pushed well up into handstand. We didn't really see a lot of bent arms, which many gymnasts do.
Yes.
Wow,
Yep.
Look at those handstand positions.
He does, like his straight, the line, you want to see it straight as possible, and he's done a great job through this routine.
Just kind of threw out the dismount a little bit. Very difficult double-double and needed to take a step, but saves it well.
Yes. High bar, we've got Cal again. Believe this is Noah Newfield. Nice pike Tkachev. Straddle Tkachev. Both C-value skills. The straddle stalder.
I love that hop on top of the bar. Not a lot of guys typically do that skill, but many of the Cal guys have that incorporated.
Yeah, Cal has definitely taken the effort to find the B values, the skills, the extra skills in the code of points that look unique and stand out and can add to their score, and it with low risk. And so he does that really well.
Asher is about to go up on still rings. This might be the highest score we'll see of the night. It's really a great event for him.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I can't wait to see this ring routine. Just a freshman, but going to the World Championships this last fall is an incredible accomplishment.
He placed 6th in the world in the all-around. Another member of that team was Brody Malone, who's another Stanford gymnast. We're not going to see him today.
Yeah, and you saw that Azarian again, that backward roll to the cross position for a D value, and really well done.
Trying here for an inverted cross. His shoulders are a little bit high. You want to see them more even with the rings, but he doesn't have any problems with that on the Maltese there.
No, it looked really good. And when you see these college guys do 2 Malteses in a routine, you know they're pretty strong. Nice front giant, back giant, and he also does one of the hardest dismounts in the world of a layout double-double.
Great landing body position. A lot of people, the more difficult dismounts, they really risk getting a 0.5 or more deduction by bending their chest, but his chest was upright, just a small hop on the landing.
Yes. And if you saw in the background, Cal got a stuck dismount there on the full twist double layout. They absolutely needed that. They've just had a few that have hopped backwards, so hopefully that's a big score.
Katerud is all the way from Norway. Is competing for Cal right now, so we've got some international gymnasts as well. Over on pommel horse, that was J.R. Child, just missed the dismount as well, didn't get up to handstand. He'll probably want to redo that.
Yep, and you can see the coach going over there, just the confirmation that he did not get credit for it and will need to get back up and do it. Stanford
coach Tom Galimi, I believe, is in his 21st season as coach at Stanford. So,
yes, and just got back from the World Championships with the 2 athletes. Much better done. 3
athletes. He had Brody, Colt, and Asher.
You're correct. I think I was thinking of Colt and Brody for sure because Asher is so young. I remember Asher more as a junior, but yeah, he had 3.
Over on the floor, you see that hitch kick to the corner. Nice stuck. Full twist there.
Yeah, so he chose to just do an easier C-value skill, but if you can stick it without any hops or landing deductions, it's better than doing the harder difficulty there.
And gymnasts on floor exercise are required to do passes in each of the diagonals. So you can't do all of your passes. Really, you can't do all of your passes on the same diagonal. It helps make the floor routine a little bit more interesting.
Yes, absolutely. In rings here, that straight press up to a handstand. Those are the Yamawaki skills, the pike and tuck position.
You can see the coach standing over on the side. That's Grant Breckenridge, who also was a former senior national team member, now Stanford assistant coach.
Yeah, it's good to see him stay in the sport as well, coaching.
Wow, nice tuck dismount.
Yeah, that is a hard dismount to land. He did that very well. I believe that was Ian Lasik Ellis. And so I think Cal is done. Asher, as you can see, that 14.75 in the corner, just edges out his teammate Riley Luce at a 14.7. I think that's going to be a rivalry all season long. Those two are incredibly strong. And they're actually, their ring scores, or those ring scores are all really high. The 13.5s are even good.
And, you know, Riley comes in this year as the reigning NCAA Still Rings champion. So I think you're right about that rivalry.
Yeah, I talked to him a little bit over Christmas break about it, and he looks great, and he's really excited to try to keep that position this year.
Just a few more scores rolling in here.
Yeah, looks like we're still waiting for that last score on rings for Team USA. Cal's scores have come in. Unfortunately, they did have some high bar did get them a little bit, but you can see Stanford on pommel just put up a 62, and Cal actually beat that by 0.3. So
yeah, their scores have looked really competitive throughout. Just Cal's a little bit down on difficulty on high bar.
Yes. Yeah, I think that's the biggest difference here that we can see. Everything is within 7/8 of each other, except for high bar was unfortunately a 4-point swing towards, or unless you want Stanford, then it was fortunately a 4-point swing towards Stanford. I guess that's a perspective. But
and you know that really is the case for Team USA in general. Is high bar is one of their weakest events, keeping them from really breaking into the medal stand. So all of these teams are working together to build their difficulty score on high bar.
That's an incredible point for the guys that are all the top guys that are pushing that senior national team and world and Olympic track. They really need to increase their high bar scores. And it was one of our biggest weaknesses at Worlds this last year.
So I think Team USA has one more round to go, it looks like, heading over to vault, where we will hopefully see the incredible Rise Guang from Asher Hong, which is a Sukahara entrance, so a round-off entrance with a double back and a full twist in there. There's a lot going on.
There is. It is the highest difficulty at a 6-0 in the world on that event.
And he actually has 2 of the most difficult vaults. He has the Risei Guang, which we saw last week for the very first time in NCAA history. And then also he has a vault called a Yanakura, which is the same entry style vault, but 3.5 twists off, which is just insane. And his first week in NCAA, he did the same entry vault, but with only 2.5 twists. So it feels a little bit like a surprise. Which vault are we going to see?
Yes, I completely agree. And actually, he might pass Coy in the all-around, his teammate. Coy has a 1-point advantage, but Coy's going into rings and Asher is going into vault. And the advantage is definitely in Asher's favor for a bigger number there.
Yeah, absolutely. And neither of them need to necessarily worry about the all-around standings in terms of qualifying to national team and Winter Cup because they are already pre-qualified to Winter Cup. But of course, for their own personal sake, they do like to keep track of how many accolades they get. So taking the all-around would be very important for that.
Yes. We're still looking for Ian Gunther and Noah Newfield in the all-around for the NCAA guys that have more to lose from tonight's competition. But we're back.
We are back for the 6th and final rotation. So Cal is going to be on floor. Stanford boys just went blank for a second, but Stanford Team USA is going to be headed to vault. Stanford itself, University, is going to be headed to rings. Let's see, where are Stanford boys? I think they're over on parallel bars.
The Stanford boys team? There, which one?
Yes.
Yes. The NCAA guys should be finishing up on rings here, and Cal is finishing up on floor.
Looks like Nick Kubler's going to lead us off here on rings.
Yeah, Nick has gotten so strong this last year. He's a gymnast from Washington that's come to Stanford. He's a sophomore.
Beautiful body position there.
And that flange was incredibly well done. Shoulders a little lower there on the Maltese. It looked really good. The back uprise to the cross. He is doing an incredibly well done ring routine.
So you'll notice the team, they are using red socks with red pants, which is wonderful when you are trying to keep your line in order.
Yes.
Some of the gymnasts will use white socks with a different colored pant, which really accentuates their poor toe point. So it makes me happy when I see gymnasts choosing to use that solid color all the way through.
Yeah. And did you see that triple back dismount from Kubler?
I did.
That is huge. That is so hard to get up that high and flip, and he actually over-rotated it. Nice 2.5 dismount from Cal.
Taylor also with a Yurchenko half-on vault we just saw.
Yeah, that was the same vault that Coy did, and Coy is currently leading vault. So we'll see if he can outpace his teammate there.
You'll see the gymnast and the coaches constantly adjusting the springboard and the protection agent around it. So anytime anyone does a Yurchenko vault, you do have to have the protective guard around it. It's part of the NCAA rules. So right now you'll see that the vault does not have the protective guard around it, which means the next gymnast won't be doing a Yurchenko entry vault.
I can't even imagine doing a Yurchenko vault without that collar around. That would just be terrifying.
Looks like Asher Hong is up next.
Is this Asher on vault?
This
so watch
is
the
Asher.
top right screen.
Oh, wow. Look at the distance on that Risei Guang.
I think that was one of the better ones he's done. I've seen him stick that vault, but that was as close as it gets. It's just a small hop back.
Really just got so much pop off the top of the vault that he left our screen for a little bit.
Yeah. High bar, that's a gymnast. He's a senior in high school. His name's Zach Green. He will be going to Stanford next year. He just finished up a great meet. Nice double full down the side. If you're watching floor, this is Cal. Really good landings. His chest is upright, and he's not taking any major steps.
Little pause there on the press to handstand. Not
Yeah,
quite
what
as
do you
good as-
think?
I don't know that he lowered his legs, but I think they
Okay.
could take. I think they could take a 10th or so there.
Huge 2.5 to finish. A lot of excitement. That was a good routine. Does that vault score look correct to you for Asher?
Let's see. It's a 6-0 difficulty vault, so he would have had about 1.5 points of deductions. It seems a little harsh to me.
That does seem harsh. I could see the little bit of bent legs on the table kind of start to tuck a little early, but other than that, I'm pretty surprised at that score, actually.
I am as well. I would be very interested to know what the judges took for.
But then again, it goes back to this sport really is about how clean. It doesn't matter how you get the score. You can try all the difficulty, but sometimes it might be better to just be clean. So we'll be curious to see why they did that.
And we don't have the exact same angle. We have more of a head-on angle on vault, whereas they are perpendicular to the vault table, so.
Okay, I just got an update that they gave Asher a 5.2 start value instead of 6.0 start value. So that's why we're seeing the 14.5. In just a second here, they will add 8 more tenths to his start value, and he will get a 15.35, which will be the top score.
That seems much more like it.
Yeah, absolutely. I was really confused there.
Most gymnasts in the NCAA are doing a 5.2 difficulty vault, but this is not one of them.
That is so funny. So true, though.
Okay, let's see what Riley is going to be doing here.
He should be going to vault.
Yeah, he has a couple different vaults in his repertoire. Let's see if he's going to do. Looks like we got the Randy today. That's right.
That is 2.5 twists forward. The entire Stanford team knows how to vault. And we've got floor finishing up here with David Rauschberger. Huge 2.5. Just a little step forward on the landing.
I believe that Riley gets 8 tenths added to his D score by upgrading his vault.
Yes, he will be 8 tenths higher than he was last week for that full twist that he added. I really do like the way that vault goes up by 4 tenths for each half twist you add to your vault. It makes it really easy to remember start values. You're like, okay, everyone does the 2.5, so if you do, or the cause entry vault with the 2.5 twist total. So when they do the triple twist, you know it's 4 tenths more. And you can see Stanford scores in the top right corner there. A 14.2 for Nick Kubler. 14.4 for Matt Zott is a huge score. Varlaga is going now, and we'll see what that score scores, or what that routine gets him. David with the 12.75 for Cal. Riley with the 14.95. We're seeing a lot of really big scores here.
Yeah, and as we mentioned earlier, with Team USA typically having pretty low start values and difficulty on high bar, they used to on vault as well comparatively to the rest of the world. But with vaulters like Donnell Wittenberg and Riley Luce, Asher Hong, like they really are getting rid of those 5-2 vaults. Colt Walker's another that can have a 5-6 difficulty. So
yeah, it is an exciting thing to see that change. As the top countries in the world have typically been China, Russia, Japan. The U.S. has really been limited by vaults, so it's cool to see us starting to compete with them.
It's a really nice artistic flair from Yu-Chin Lee on floor.
I love his floor routine. He is so, like, he gets so much height. He's got great landings.
Love that endo back pike.
Yeah, that's another one of those skills. We were talking about how Cal kind of finds those skills that are a little bit unique. So he was a little low on that landing, and had he not bent a little bit more, it would have been a fall. So he did a great job staying on his feet there. Isaac brings up a good point that Yu-Chen was actually one of the CGA floor all-stars we had earlier back in December. So we are getting pretty close to the end here. We've got Stanford with another routine on rings.
Really
Those double
beautiful
front
job.
skills. Wow.
Yamawaki, yeah.
Really well done. And if we haven't mentioned it, the tuck position is a C and the pike is a D, so he's getting 7/10 to his score just by doing that. And I don't think he had any deduction. That was incredible. Like you said earlier, the arms are straight. His handstand line is good, and a huge full twisting double layout dismount. Is that Brandon Briones?
I think so.
I think it might have been. It was he has a line to him. He is a great gymnast, and it really does stand out. Mark Barlaga got a 14.75 on rings. That is the third Stanford gymnast to almost post a 15. And if you're watching floor, we've got Noah Newfield. Just a little short on that front double pike. That was a much better landing.
I'm not seeing a score for Ian Gunther on still rings.
I'm not either. I'm not sure what happened there.
We're clarifying to see if he is still planning on going. If he ended up scratching rings, that would take him out of the all-around and the chance to automatically qualify to Winter Cup.
Yeah, that is a really good point.
Like
that could be huge if he wasn't going to go. But this looks like him right here.
Yeah, it looks like he's stepping up now, so maybe they just changed the order. So here we go. This is Ian's last routine of the night.
Yeah, so we've got floor, Noah trying to finish his qualifying to Winter Cup, and we've got Ian on rings.
You'll see as his coach leaves him, that's Mark Freeman. He has to leave the gymnast standing completely still, otherwise it's considered an assist by the judges. Wow.
That might be the best swing handstand I've seen out of that skill.
Lots of strength elements that are combined. Those strength and hold elements are required in ring routines. There's 4 parts specifically to rings. You have to have a kip and swing element, strength elements, swing to strength, and then that dismount that we just saw is also required.
And incredibly well done. That was one of the straighter layout half and outs I've seen.
Looks like Coy will be the last gymnast to go for Stanford in the battle between him and Asher for that all-around title is what we're predicting.
Yes, and I think Coy had about a point lead, so Coy would need to put up a low 14 here to be keeping it competitive, and that might be hard to do. This is, believe it or not, rings is a hard event to get a 14. A lot of scores have been there tonight, but that's not typical.
No, the very best in the world are barely breaking 15 at the world and Olympic level. So having a score in the mid to high 14s is really respectable. And that's, one of the hard things about men's gymnastics right now is a good score differs on each event. So you have to know a little bit about what does a good score on vault might not be a good score on horse or vice versa.
Yeah, and it's funny. They've tried to lower vault to make it more even, but the rest of the events they haven't done much to kind of even that out. And so Noah with a 12-2 on floor. It's a little bit lower than the average he's had tonight, but it hopefully is enough for him to still qualify. This is a backup right straddle flange.
Yeah, just a touch high there. There's a better position.
Yeah, you want to see it as flat as possible, like you're saying, but the difficulty on those skills isn't the same as it is when they're together. Does the pike and tuck Yamawaki. So the biggest difference I'm seeing on this ring routine is the start value is much lower compared to some of his teammates. He's executing it really well, though.
A nice stuck dismount. He has to count a lot of A skills, so those are only 10 skills.
He's getting pretty excited there.
He was really happy, stirring up the crowd there.
Yeah, I mean, I think he had an incredible competition. They took a lot of the Team USA guys out, and so Stanford really relied on Coy to step up. And I'd say he delivered for them tonight. That was a great all around.
And as these last scores come in, we'll see who won the meet, who won the all-around, and who is going to be moving on.
Yeah, let's check it out. So we've got Cal and Stanford. Stanford still put up a 406, which is a huge score. Cal at a 390.
400 is really that number that the best teams are hitting. So Cal's getting closer to that.
Yeah, but this view style right now, you can really see the events that really separated this competition. And the first thing that really stands out here, we mentioned high bar earlier, but look at the ring difference. That's a 72 to a 63, and that's really where Stanford lost a lot of their Cal lost a lot of their competitive edge to Stanford, unfortunately.
So let's take a look at those all-around rankings.
It's coming up.
What's your
We're
best
getting
guess?
there.
Do you think Coy or Asher?
I think
take it all
Asher
around?
took it. I mean, I haven't seen Coy's score come in, but the lower start value on that routine, and he still did have some deductions. I think Asher is going to sneak through and take the lead that Coy has had this entire night. And so,
as we're getting these scores loaded in, what routine stood out to you tonight?
the Risei Guang from Asher on vault was incredible. One of the best vaults I've seen him do. And if I were to pick one more routine that stood out to me, I'm going to go... Ooh. I'm probably going to go with one of the ring routines, actually, from either Riley Luce or Ian Gunther. I thought both of them had incredible routines. How about you? What was your thoughts tonight?
I was really excited to see Riley re-upgrade his vault back to the Randy.
Yes, yeah.
To get that 8/10 more of difficulty and to execute it so well.
Oh, absolutely. He did.
And with Cal, I loved seeing their extra attention to detail in utilizing not so common skills like the endo back pike on floor and the little hop on high bar. Yeah.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that twist they add to gymnastics.
Have those all-around scores come in yet?
We haven't seen it yet. Let's see. We did get Coy's routine at a 13.8 though, so it is actually a lot closer. I'm really curious to see how this ended up.
We have word from our tech team that the leaderboard is experiencing some technical difficulties, so...
Okay, so we should get this all-around result up pretty soon.
Yes.
Here are the final results for each individual event.
You know who I did actually like too is Jasper's vault from Cal. We haven't seen him. We haven't seen him in the lineup from Cal. He was injured last year, and so to see him come back healthy and put up that, it was a really nice cause 1.5. Driggs vault. So right now the teams are just getting their stuff together before the final result is announced.
Looking forward, if you want to catch any of these teams in action, Stanford will have a bye week next weekend, but then on the weekend of February 11th, they will be at Oklahoma in a tri-meet versus William and Mary as well. I think that meet will be a little bit nerve-wracking for Oklahoma because they haven't lost a home meet since 2007, I believe. It's been quite a long time.
That is such an incredible accomplishment. And yeah, that'll be a fun one to watch. And of course, we've got the Winter Cup Challenge, which is the top gymnasts in the country and the top NCAA gymnasts coming up in about 3 weeks away.
Mm-hmm. And for Cal, they will also have a bye week next week, and then they will travel out to Colorado Springs and face off against Air Force and Army. So if you're in the Oklahoma area or in the Colorado Springs, Denver area, I encourage you to go out and support these guys live.
Yeah, those will both be, you can see the progress they make from this meet, and it'll be an exciting competition, both of those.
And in third place, from Team USA, Ian Ellis.
So we do have the team scores. I didn't actually notice Team USA did outscore Stanford in the end. Did you see that?
I did not see that. Looks like they're about, 5 points, almost 5 points ahead. That's a big deal.
It is. And actually, if you would have told me before the meet that Stanford was going to take out that many national team guys, I would have thought Stanford 1 would have been a little bit lower, but I would have thought the Team USA guys would. I guess I would say I would have thought they would be that much better, but I think what it shows is that there's a lot of competition on that team for lineups.
Well, and just to reiterate, 2 of their very best gymnasts are not in the lineup right now. So world champion Brody Malone, world team member Colt Walker have not competed yet this season. And they are 2 absolute power horses. Brody was 5th in the world in the all-around, world champion on high bar, and Colt Walker was about 10th or 11th on parallel bars, just missing out on a spot in the finals. So big names.
They are. They really are. It goes to show the depth of that program right now. But Cal putting up another 390. They're showing progress, and they also still have athletes coming back from injury, and so they too can show a little bit more towards the end of this year to creep into the 400. One of the gymnasts we haven't seen in a while that I'm curious to see if he comes back is Darren Wong.
What about his gymnastics are you most looking forward to seeing?
He's a gymnast from Canada, and he is what I love the most about Cal. His lines are incredible. He is just a great gymnast to watch. And he has unfortunately been out for almost 2 years with a variety of injuries. But when he's back out there, he really, I feel Cal historically has had beautiful gymnastics, and he's definitely one of those athletes that shows that.
Though we don't have the final totals yet, I have heard in the background Asher Hogg's name being called multiple times, so it looks like he's going home with a lot of hardware.
Yeah, he is an exciting gymnast for the NCAA for the next 4 years. If I were to put a freshman, I'd put him, and I'd also put Frederick from Michigan, Frederick Richard, as 2 to watch. If you get a chance to watch Michigan at all this year, those 2 freshmen are a bright spot for this country.
I am actually a Michigan alumni. I was the manager for the men's team when Stan McCulloch was on the team, so I'm very well acquainted with the Michigan team.
I did not know that. That is so cool. That is also an exciting young team. After Sam left, they kind of fell a little bit, but
they have a huge superstar in Paul Judah, who won Team USA that extra Olympic spot, and the freshman Fred Richard is really someone to watch.
So Paul Judah hasn't competed this year yet, and so you actually, if you're looking at rankings in college teams, you'll see Michigan is a little lower than people expect. But once he's back in the lineup, that team will be incredible. We just got word. Oh, yeah.
We just got word that Asher did win the all-around and Coy got 3rd. Thank you.
Wow, Coy dropped an extra spot.
Yeah. Ian Lasik-Ellis was 2nd. So
okay.
All of those gymnasts are pre-qualified to Winter Cup, so we'll have to update you at a later point who did end up qualifying. But thank you so much for joining us. Again, my name is Kinsley. I'm here with Tanner, and we hope you enjoyed this program.
Yeah, had a lot of fun.
everyone. It's a great competition. We thank the crowd, and especially we thank the gymnasts. Congratulations. This competition tonight was part of the Grand Prix series sponsored by Athletics ICC Insurance Services. The goal of the Grand Prix is there's 4 events. This is the 3rd event of the series, and tonight we're going to award the 2 gymnasts that were eligible, that means non-collegiate and not going into college as a gymnast in the near future. 2 gymnasts were the top award winners, top points getters, and they're going to receive a big check that they can take home and celebrate. But I just want to say a couple of things about the MAG Foundation USA. It's a foundation created to help men's artistic gymnastics in the U.S. return to the team medal stand at the Olympic Games. So I'd like to bring 2 gymnasts up that are receiving prize money through our sponsorship. And let's call them the gymnasts receiving the top points tonight that's eligible is Blake Soon of Stanford for $2,750. Then we have Troy Lippis from Gym World with $1,000. Can both gymnasts please report to the floor?
That's it for the Stanford Open. Our next home competition will be against the University of California on Saturday, February the 18th, right back here inside Burnham Pavilion at 4 p.m. Thank you everybody for coming this evening. We hope you enjoy the competition. And remember, as you drive home tonight, please do so safely. Good night from Stanford.